Hey guys, this is Shintai, and doing something a little bit different today. We're going to have a discussion about Infinite Undiscovery and just things that could have been fixed. I have with me my friend Swordfish. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. We just wanted to talk about the game because I've been playing it lately, and I think it's a pretty solid game, but there are some noticeable flaws, and Sword agrees with me. So we're just thinking like we can go back and forth talking about it a bit and see what things could have been fixed about the game, because the game has a lot of potential and doesn't really feel like it was realized. So first we want to talk about the visuals. Start with you, Sword. Like what do you think could have been like fixed?
Visually, I'm kind of mixed. Like, I think the enemy designs are really nice, and I think the environments are really nice, but I think the problem lies within the lip sync. It's just consistently off. It looks creepy. Like it's not even like the Japanese like dubbing lipping. It's just like open close, open close, open close. I can forgive that because I've seen that in a lot of games now, but Infinite Undiscovery, it was like, oof. And the character models aren't the best. Maybe, I guess I think they're a little dated, but I do like the special effects of the attacks. I think they're very flashy, but overall, I think for me, the visuals are kind of half and half.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it also has to do with the fact that this is an older game, so it can't be too hard on it in terms of visuals. I think you were spot on with the animations. It could have been a lot better. I think the animations during combat are fine, but during cutscenes, like when they're talking and stuff, that's when the animations tend to be a bit bleh. What about in terms of audio?
Audio is fares a bit better to me. Voice acting, for one, ranges from good to meh to oh my god, shut up. Okay, Capel I thought was a pretty solid voice actor.
Yeah.
I thought Aya was pretty good, and Edward and Sigmund weren't too bad. But everyone else, and Eugene was pretty good too. But everyone else, especially oh my god, Rico and Rucha, oh my god, yes. I want to strangle them and just tell them like but probably the best part of the audio though is the music. I thought this was some of Motoi Sakura's best work that I've heard in a while. So I think the strongest part of the audio is the soundtrack, and the voice acting is still half and half, just like the visuals.
Yeah, I really like the music in this game too. I thought it was top notch, and even a lesser Motoi Sakuraba soundtrack is still pretty decent, you know. And this is not one of the lesser ones. So I thought the music in this game was really good. But yeah, the voice acting, fuck, there were just some times where I was just like, oh, please shut up, please. It was pretty bad at times. It's like the characters that you mentioned, I pretty much agree with. It's usually the lesser characters that don't matter, because the ones that you named are all mostly important characters that are relevant to the plot. If you have a character that's not really all that relevant, their voice actor was the janitor.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the story, because we want to leave gameplay for last, because that's where we'll have the bulk of our like gripes. The story, I felt is pretty like standard. I mean, I haven't finished it yet. I'm on the second disc, but I'm pretty far into the game. But so far, like the story for the part that I'm getting at is actually getting better. But I felt that the story, for the most part, was pretty standard. It wasn't, like, too... Like, there were some cliches, like, there's... Like, Rika and Rucha are, like, annoying versions of the twins from Final Fantasy IV. Oh, just a bunch of cliches, like surprise princess, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, that was a princess? I never would have guessed. I mean, don't get us wrong, or at least don't get me wrong. There are some points in the game where I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that, but it's mostly mired in cliches.
Oh god, that's been done how many times? I mean, I've been playing, like, the Tale series comes to mind. I mean, I'm used to cliches, and I'm okay with that, but just the concept of the story was really interesting. The fact that there were, like, chains on the moon, and it was, like, taking away life. I forget, I haven't played the game in a while, but the fact that these chains, like all these diseases are starting to come, to the towns, and the people are getting sick and dying, and the monsters are attacking. I thought that was like a really good idea, and the fact that you were one of the liberators, or the liberators of the chains, or Order of the Chains, you're going around the entire world destroying these chains, and you know, and what's really cool is if you're on the screen and you look at the sky, you could see the chains go away one by one that you've destroyed. I thought that was really cool, but the execution isn't the best. You know, like you said, it is, you know, full of cliches from time to time, but there are some clever twists, and I think Capel is definitely a really great protagonist when he develops in the second disc. I thought he was a little bit annoying at first, but he grew on me, and he was like entertaining. Most of the characters, honestly, there are, I think, 18 characters in the game. That is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that's going to be one of our main complaints. The game has way too many fucking characters, and the only reason so many characters exist is to justify a game mechanic, which we'll get into later. But there's way too many game characters, and I think also leads into another complaint about this game, is that it's way too short. Having this many characters wouldn't have been so bad if we at least got a chance to know them all. And it does make sense to have as many characters as we do, because it's a revolutionary group that, you know, they're coming together and they're rebelling against this, you know, oppressive force that's creating the chains and whatnot. So it does make sense to have that many characters, but the game just is too short to really get us invested in all these characters. It wouldn't have mattered if they went the Final Fantasy Tactics route, where you have a bunch of generic troops, but each character is their own individual person, and there's no way to get invested in all of them. There's just way too many of them, and there's no way to care about all of them, and it's a shame, but that's just the way it is. And there are some characters that are really good, like I agree with you. Capel, while he does start off a little annoying, he does grow on you eventually, and like to the point that I'm in the game, he seems to be changing a lot, and like he's starting to be, you know, grow some balls.
But like a character like Savia, all we know is that he was Sigma's friend. What the hell? Does he have a backstory? Does he have? We don't know anything about this guy. There were party members in the game that I didn't even know I had until like late in the first disc. I was like, okay, oh, and the secondary characters that you can't even use during battle. Like, there are so many characters that I either don't know or don't care about, or didn't even know I had in my party the entire time. The amount of characters that are important I can count on one hand. Everyone else is filler.
I think what's kind of sad is, aside from the main characters like Capel, Aya, and Edward, who are the main trio, the only other character that got the most development would be the fucking bear.
Oh, Gustav? Yeah.
The bear was cool, though. I gotta give him props for letting you have a giant bear in your party. I liked that. Even though he had to take up 2 spaces, though, for a character, which was kind of lame. But still, big-ass bear, that's pretty cool.
You just can't go wrong. Gotta love animals in video games.
And I like that he didn't talk, because I hate that.
Oh, Shadow Hearts from the New World comes to mind. A giant talking cat.
I'm sorry to Swag, because he's a big fan of this series, but in Suikoden 4, there's a giant anthropomorphic cat. I was just like, no. But anyways, we're trailing off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the story I think is, you know, pretty decent. It's something to write home to mom about, but it has some good elements to it. The biggest issue is just that there's way too many characters, and we don't get a chance to get invested in all of them. I think actually Mass Effect 2 suffers from this as well, but not nearly as bad because the party's just so big in this game.
You know what they could have done was, I think of another Trice game, Radiata Stories, where you can recruit party members optionally, like have like a whole book of friends, like in Infinite. What they could have done was had the main characters like Capel, Eugene, Edward, Aya, and Sigmund as like part of the story, and then you could also, when you break off into separate groups, you could have all the people you've recruited on the side.
Yeah, it works better in Radiata because that's optional. You don't have to do that. It's if you feel like it, you can have that many characters. But in here, you know, all of them are part of the main story. While in Radiata, the majority of them were irrelevant. They were just like, if you know, you can have them in your party if you want. So let's go into the doozy, the gameplay. Pretty much, me and Sword agreed. This game feels both experimental and confused because there are too many elements in this game in the gameplay, and they don't all work and aren't necessary. And at its core, this game is an action RPG. And the action RPG part of the game actually works pretty well. My biggest complaint with it is just simply the fact that whenever you use skills, you can get easily knocked out of it, which is stupid. It's a pain in the ass because those skills take up MP, and especially for like the more powerful moves, it takes up more MP and it's valuable. And you can't just easily replenish it because the menus are in real time during combat. So it's harder to like just go to the menu and just give yourself some MP back. So I think that making it so easily to get knocked out of your skills is not a very good idea. I can understand if I'm using a normal attack, but skills, that's dumb.
Not when it's costing you precious MP.
Right. I think if you're using a skill, you should not be able to get knocked out of it. I think you should still be able to take damage, but just not get knocked out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I think the action RPG part of the game is fine. It's fun. You know, you learn new skills, you can level up the skills, you can do nothing too complex, but you can do some pretty cool combos and they're fun to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
But just the problem with the game, though, is it had all these other elements, and you'll probably actually go through long portions of the game forgetting about them, because like they're usually not relevant. You have this system where you connect with your party members, and it allows you to do different things, and that's a neat idea if this was a puzzle game, because that's mostly what it's used for, puzzles. But the puzzles in this game are few and far between, and don't really, they're not that hard. There's the whole flute system, which, hey, that's also a neat idea. It lets you see things that are normally invisible, and you can also use it to cancel out magic and stuff, but it's not really something.
I honestly hardly ever used it.
Yeah, I mean, I hardly ever used it either. The only time I had to use it was at some point during the game. You have to fight invisible enemies.
But even still, that's not until way late into the game.
Right, and you've probably forgotten you have a flute.
Yeah.
And finally, another element that I talked about before was the reason this game has so many fucking characters is the multi-part party battles that occur in the game. There are certain missions that you can do where you can have 3 teams, the team that you're a part of and 2 other teams that you assemble so they can help you infiltrate the base. That is a good idea in concept, but it just really isn't used very often. And when it is, it doesn't really feel like it matters.
All it really feels like is that instead of 4 characters, it's 12. That's really all. There's just more special effects and there's just a lot more numbers flying around.
Yeah, and kudos to the developers for having that much action on screen, and the frame rate doesn't drop.
Mm-hmm.
So I give them kudos for that, but otherwise, the multi-party system, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really feel like to me that it adds anything to the game. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, but it just doesn't feel like it really matters.
There are a lot of things that just feel like that are just thrown in there at the last minute. For example, the situational battles. Usually all they consist of is beating a boss within a time limit. That's hardly situational to me. And the whole connect system, again, it's a cool concept. I hardly ever used it anyway. But the thing is, even if you try, if you're one of those people that just have to try everything, the button combinations for these connects are so convoluted and time-consuming. You never remember. Plus, there's so many characters you don't remember their X, Y, and B buttons to use the connect system in the first place. And you'll walk into a forest and you'll see a big rock, and then there's a party member that can destroy that rock that you don't even have yet. So by the time you get that party member, you forget that rock is there because it's just something you never thought about in the first place. So, I mean, you could say, oh, encourage exploration, but to me, that's just, what the hell? I wanted that treasure box. I forgot about it, and I didn't have a character to destroy. And another thing that really bothered me was that, considering also there's so many characters, you have to buy equipment for all of them. And to make it even worse, there's no way to optimize your equipment to equip the strongest gear on your character. So that makes it more menu driven, just increasing your play time for absolutely no reason. The whole real-time menu thing is debatable. I thought it was cool at first because I was like, oh cool, it's in real time, it's all challenging. Then, especially during disc 2, that's when you'll fight crazy amounts of enemies on the screen at the same time, and then more crazier special effects, and you'll be fighting bosses. The boss I fought in the second disc where there was this big Titan thing and there was like a tsunami came at you. And I had, again, my multi-party, and there are so many people on the field that I can't keep track of what's going on. I'm trying to navigate my menu, and that's one of the things I think would have helped that, though, is if you could move around during the menu. But yeah, no, you can't do that. So you just gotta, you're sitting duck, press the select button, item, scroll down to your item that you want to use. Plus, if you haven't memorized all the item names, you gotta read the description while you're getting attacked. So to me, that's just another annoyance.
I think what they should have done is, in this game, this kind of action RPG, you don't go to a separate screen in order to fight battles. You just fight them in that same area. And I think that was a mistake. I think they should have gone the route of Star Ocean, and when you see an enemy on screen and you touch them, it will send you to the battle area. And I think that would have been better. I think that way battles wouldn't feel as bottlenecked, because they're like, it feels like in certain areas, like, I feel kind of constrained because of the environment. And I think just having a big open field where I can just run around and, fight the enemies would have been a lot better. And that's why it works so much better in Star Ocean.
And plus, when you're in the more claustrophobic environments, that also brings back the whole being interrupted thing, because there are enemies that are surrounding you. You're trying to pull off combos to get the enemies away from you, but you can't pull off your awesome internal refrain because it's just not happening. Enemies won't let you do it.
Yeah, I found that, like, to really actually pull off these skills, you have to make sure you have a combo going at first, and then use the skill. Otherwise, they'll just knock you out of it.
I mean, the combat is basic. I mean, it's just simple button presses of A's and B's, but it is, when you're not being frustrated by all these things, the combat system is fun. Don't get me wrong, it's just not.
Yeah, we're not trying to say that this is a bad game here. We're just kind of lamenting that what is a decent game could have been a really great game if all these issues could have been ironed out.
If they made a sequel, I would like to see them fix some of the things that people have been complaining about.
It feels like to me that this game was them trying to make a game like Star Ocean, except not Star Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of elements in this game that feel reminiscent of Star Ocean, but aren't quite as good.
Mm-hmm. Like all the elements in the gameplay feel like it was close, but no cigar. It went there, but it tried to throw the ball to the guy with the bat, but the guy missed.
I mean, it's a good effort. This game is definitely a good effort. And, there are some good ideas here, and there are some things about this game that work really well, but there are just as many that don't.
Another one of the things I didn't care for, though, was that I feel kind of annoyed that I'm only limited to 2 moves. Maybe they could have done what Star Ocean 3 did and change it from 4 different moves from different ranges, or just change the moves to the left and right triggers, kind of like what The Last Hope did.
Yeah, what The Last Hope did was, the more you level up, you can actually make it so that if you keep pressing the right trigger or the left trigger to do moves, if you have another move equipped, you'll do the move after that. So you can do like Rising Strike and then, Piercing Cross or whatever the fuck, right afterwards, because you kept pressing it. I thought that was pretty cool too.
One little teeny tiny complaint is the parry system. Honestly, why is that even there?
Yeah, that was pointless. I almost never used it.
Because it's just, it either ranges from useless or, problematic or futile. It's just, you gotta do it the exact right time. Otherwise, if you miss the parry, you're completely open to attack. You have to wait for Capel to finish his animation, and you're taking hits.
See, the problem with something like a parry system like that is the combat system is too chaotic. There's too many things going on at once for you to be able to do something like that. That's more for something like Devil May Cry, where you don't have a party. It's just you by yourself, and you have more focus on your singular character, and and you're trained more on what the enemy's actions are. And in this kind of game, it's more button mashy and it's more chaotic. So to do something that refined is nonsense. You're not going to be able to do it. The left trigger just should have been a block button. That's it. Either that or let you dodge.
That would have been better, I think.
Yeah, because as it stands, you can't do either, which that's kind of lame. But I guess not. It kind of makes sense because again, we were discussing how limited the environments feel sometimes. How you feel so constrained. But then again, that wouldn't have been an issue if they went ahead and went the Star Ocean route and made the environments, just to walk around in, and then you find the enemies and it just takes you to the battle area. That would have worked out better.
But again, it sounds like we're bitching about the game, but it's more just so constructive criticism, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, what could have been?
Right. I just want to go on the record and say I really like this game. I think it's a good game, and I recommend people check it out because it has a lot to offer. It's fun. It's enjoyable. But it feels to me that this game suffers from probably like a lack of proper budget, and development time. Not to say that this is a budget title, because I don't think that's the case. It just feels like they wanted to do a lot with this game, but they couldn't because they had to get it out at a certain time. They didn't have enough time to work on it. They were probably working on other things at the same time, like Star Ocean, like Resonance of Fate, or the other Tri-Ace games. And they wanted to do a lot with the game, and they just couldn't. And that's why the game, I wouldn't say the game feels incomplete, because there is I haven't finished it, but does the game have a definitive end? Does it feel like it ends properly?
I thought so.
Right. Well, okay, there you go. It doesn't feel like the game is incomplete. It just feels like there could have been more.
I agree, totally.
Anything else to add?
All I gotta say is that it's just, like I said, close but no cigar. It is a good game. Even though the story is kind of predictable, I still say it's solid. The gameplay, for what it does, it's appreciated, but it's just not... It was close, but it just didn't really reach the oomph you want. Like I said, the characters that do get screen time are great, especially Edward. I thought he was awesome. The music is great. I highly recommend... If you could, I'd say just play it with an open mind. Just be like, this is a whole new game. I've never heard of it before. I don't know what this is. Play it for what it is and enjoy it for what it gives.
Yeah, I picked it up for $8. It's certainly worth $8.
Exactly.
It'd be pretty fucking shitty if it weren't $8. But let me put it this way: if I paid $20 for it, I'd say that I'd be satisfied with it. I don't know about $60, but luckily.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I mean, for a 20-hour game, like, you kidding me?
Well, I'm like 25 hours so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if I just took my time with it or something, but...
Well, the game is give or take 20 or 25, I'd say.
I think that's pretty much it. We've pretty much covered everything. All right, thanks for joining me, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hope everyone enjoyed this. See you guys later.
Peace.